About 20 days ago, I made this video on Kaspa, and I broadly spoke about why the price rise might not be really good thing. You might want to be careful and so on. I got a lot of hate for it. I got a lot of hate. I cannot imagine how much hate, but you can actually go to the comment section of this video and see how much hate I got. And if you want to understand the in-depth analysis of Kaspa as well, go and check it out. I'm not blaming their tech. The tech might be great. Team is accomplished. I've spoken a lot of good things about them as well. But specifically regarding price, I did have my concerns. And in fact, my concerns were not far-fetched, because in the last 20 days, Kaspa crashed 42%. Right? I made the video when Kaspa was when I was researching, when Kaspa was somewhere here, it was almost close to becoming 1 penny worth, and today it has crashed almost 42%. Right? So let's analyze why. Right? That's what this video is about. We'll talk about why Kaspa price fell. Points to remember: I'm not discussing their tech. I have no opinion in this video about their tech. I spoke about that in my previous video. You can check that out. I'm only trying to make sense of the price movement. Right? I don't look at a chart and say, hey, yeah, it's going up, it's going down. It has a support level here. No, that's basic. That's garbage. Right? I will not make such analysis. I will go in depth. We'll try and understand why does price actually rise. Right? That's the important question we'll analyze today. Why does price actually rise? Why did Kaspa price rise like this and fall? Right? We'll try and look at that and we'll see what makes sense. First one, right? There are two things. Right? There is a legitimate reason why price might rise. Right? And the legitimate reason almost always is the fact that there is a success of some form. Right? It adds value. Right? Something that is adding value. Could be a partnership, could be a feature rollout, it could be adoption. Right? There could be a few more things on these lines, but anything that is adding intrinsic value to Kaspa or any crypto for that matter results in a price rise. There are other reasons as well. Endorsement by a celeb, like Elon Musk tweeted about it, then it might just rise. Right? Some influencer tweeted, it could rise. Exchange listing, that's a big reason why crypto prices rise, especially if it's a major exchange. Artificial increase in price by vested interest, that's another interesting thing. I'll talk about that today. And the market itself rising. Right? If the market itself rising, then all the boats are going to rise up because the tide is rising. So that's another reason. Right now the market is not rising, so we know for sure it's not that reason. So let's look at this. What happened to Kaspa in the last 3 months? Right? I went through their entire Twitter thread to try and all their tweets in the last 3-4 months to figure out what exactly happened, and I've put all that here. I think roughly from July, I guess they started a Rust rewrite. 27th of September, right? They listed on MECX Global Exchange, and surprisingly, there was a price drop after the listing. And if you look at 27th, somewhere around here, right after the listing, there's a price drop. Right, about this particular exchange actually accounts for about 37% of trading volume in the last 24 hours. So interesting that it actually price dropped, and they crowdfunded 50,000 to get on this exchange. Then 7th of October, there was a block reward reduction, and the price actually dropped. Right? If you look at 7th of October, right, price actually went down right after that. Can you see that in the chart? This is very important to understand, especially for the demand-supply dynamics. Right? When Bitcoin has a block reward reduction, which happens roughly every 4 years, the entire market shakes, right? Because Bitcoin price is so important. Miners are dependent on it. As soon as the supply of Bitcoin drops, prices rise. Right? We have seen this in the last 2 cycles, and we expect to see it in the next cycle as well. But here, there was a block reward reduction, and there was literally a price drop, not a price rise, right? Contrary to what should have happened if there is actual demand for it, there was a price drop. Actually speaking, price rise should have happened. So this is very important to understand that. Then, on the 31st of October, DAG Night Protocol paper was released on a new consensus mechanism. Price rose after that. 10th of November, CoinX listing happened. There was a price right after that. This accounts for about 5% of trading volume in the last 24 hours. I'm not sure what was the trading volume back on 10th November, but as in the last 24 hours, this is 5%. So it's interesting that the exchange that accounts for 37% of trading volume today. After listing on that price drop, but one that is 5% price rose. I'm not sure what is the actual volume on that particular day when the listing happened, but this data seems a little contrary. Now on 18th of November, there was a performance update and price continued to rise. Now this is probably one of those intrinsic values. Everything else is not really adding to the intrinsic value. There's a partnership with Flux Nodes, I think sometime in September. 14th of December, that is a couple of days back, there was a dev update on their Rust rewrite, but it made no difference to the price. Interesting, right? And if you look at these, right, the first 8 points, except one, 7 of them or 6 of them rather add no value, significant value, no intrinsic value to Kaspa, but there is a very mixed reaction going on here, right? And the price has been rising. So then I was like, what the hell is happening here? So then I decided to look at the last thing, right? Artificial increase in price by vested interest. Could that be it? Let's look at that. Now, I went to Lunar Crush. There's an interesting website. You guys can go check it out. Lunar Crush gives you social mentions and correlates with price and so on. What I've done is I've looked at Kaspa for the last 3 months. I've looked at price, social mentions, and social engagements. Right, the orange line here is the number of social mentions, and the blue line is social engagements, and the green line is price. Right, if you look at the orange line, right, there are a lot of people talking about Kaspa. Right, they are mentioning Kaspa, and as the number of people mentioning Kaspa is increasing, price is increasing. Right, of course with a lag, that's expected. Price increases with a lag, because if influencers or whoever it is start talking about Kaspa, then people will decide to maybe buy in the next couple of days after that. That is how the impact happens. And if you see here, it's very clear as the mentions go on increasing, price kept rising, and eventually, if you look at the last couple of weeks, the number of social mentions fell from like a peak of more than 5,000 a day to right now it's trending at like 1.1k a day. Right, social mentions just dropped by 80%. And price has dropped by like 42%. Right? You see how social mentions and social engagements versus price is so strongly correlated here. I looked at the top, influencers of Kaspa, and we already saw that nothing has really happened except for one article in the last 3 months. Nothing has really been written about Kaspa. I looked at some of the top influencers of Kaspa to see, what are they doing, right? And many of them were tweeting like this, right? This is a long-term crypto. This is 100x, the next 100x, and so on, right? Now, this is one such tweet. Lunar Crush also gives you something very interesting. They give you insights about each of these influencers. And if you look at Crypto Macro, right, the guy who had tweeted this, it's very interesting that in his coin mention frequency in the last 3 months, 31% of the times he mentioned a coin, it was about Kaspa. Right? If you look at this analysis here, that's insane. If you take my 3 months videos, right, you will not see a huge concentration of any crypto. Right? Maybe Bitcoin is what I've mentioned more than once, but almost every other crypto I would have probably mentioned once. Right? But this guy here is mentioning Kaspa like 31% of the time. Bitcoin is like 5% of the time. Now, let's look at the others. Right? This is another influencer. He mentioned, and these are the top 5 influencers for Kaspa, by the way. 78% of the times he mentioned Kaspa in his tweets in the last 3 months. Right? Another influencer, about 22% of the time he mentions Kaspa. For some strange reason, his Twitter account is suspended though. Now, this is Binance Masters, yet another one. 10% of the time they mention Kaspa. Bitcoin itself is 4% for them. There are a number of such influencers who keep mentioning Kaspa. In fact, there are entire syndicates. Right? If you can Google for them, I have been invited to many of them, but I always refuse to get into any of these groups. There are groups that pump and dump crypto. Right? All they do is they figure out which crypto to pump. They tell their members that, hey, everybody start buying, talking about this. Pump up that crypto and then eventually sell, and they all make a neat profit while you exit with a bag, or while you are holding on to the bag of worthless tokens. So be careful of these pump and dump syndicates. right? And I think of all these 9 reasons why there could have been a price movement, artificial increase in price by vested interest seems like the most likely one. And I told you very clearly in the last video that this is a penny crypto. There are people who will try to take it to that 1 penny mark and so on. It actually went up almost to 0.98 penny. People will do all kinds of things just to pump it up and eventually dump, because inherent or intrinsic addition of value has not been so much for Kaspa in the last few months. Again, I'm not discussing their tech. Their tech could be great, their team could be great, their community could be great, but the last few months, the last 3 months especially, this is the data. This is what is there. You can check out all this. All the websites are available for you. You can go through their Twitter handle and go through all their tweets. You will find exactly what I found. I'll put all this in the description. You can go through it. And this, I believe, is the reason why Kaspa pumped and dumped. And if you had actually listened to me in the last video, then you would your investment would not have crashed by like 42%, right? Anybody who saw my video and decided not to invest would have saved 42% of their investment in Kaspa. If you like this video, do subscribe, tell your friends about it, and welcome to the Wave Crypto Club. Stay tuned for more such in-depth analysis. And yeah, again, welcome to the Wave Crypto Club.